Today is Saturday, November 10th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for episode 7 of Survivor David vs. Goliath.
As the castaways were fond of commenting, both a little in the episode, but very much so in the extra videos, the game has shifted into an entirely different gear. They like to say the game started. I like to think of it as just going into a faster, more intense gear.
Ah, that's why the revved engine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it now.
Winding up for the next gear. Yep, we're dropping the hammer on it. And that's what our Survivor Superfans are doing here in the listener feedback show. Joanne and I did the recap on Wednesday night. We offered our observations as well as recounting what we observed in the episode. And now we turn the reins over to you, the Survivor Superfans, here at Survivor Fans Podcast, to share your thoughts and your predictions. Maybe bring some special insight from your particular walk in life to the analysis and what's going on here. So we look forward to that every Saturday, and we're thrilled that you're a part here, whether you're listening or you're actually participating. Glad to have you on the show. Anything we need to say before we get started? Anything else?
We'll make the announcement at the end about this being the only week you have to change.
Right. Special week in the Survivor Fantasy League here in JSFL. So, yep, we'll cover that in the wrap-up. Good deal. All right, let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. I got a little great big woo! That was an awesome merge episode. A lot of back and forth, some good gameplay and some awful gameplay, Angelina. And yet I'm shocked after all that, after all what happened at Tribal, Elizabeth was unanimously voted out. I can't believe they didn't get rid of Angelina. They didn't turn the script on it. All the Davids even voted for Elizabeth, too. Some had to have been said at Tribal or even before then that we didn't get to see. Going to have to check out some of these extra clips on the YouTube channel or something, because I need an explanation. But Elizabeth now will be Queen of Ponderosa, as she's the first member of the jury. Ha ha, that'll be interesting. Queen Elizabeth. But we'll see what happens now. You had a lot of back and forth. You had Christian in on a lot of stuff. You had, of course, Dan with Tara trying to calm him down. I can't believe Dan was panicking. He has the most power out of anyone with 2 idols. We didn't see anything of Davey. Kyle, though, it's interesting. He wanted Elizabeth out at the beginning of the episode, so who knows what was said and all that. And then I loved actually Gabby's fight at Tribal, with Elizabeth and all that. But now I don't know. Worried she might be in the hot seat now. I don't know. To me, next episode it's either going to be Gabby, Angelina, or maybe even Alec, because Alec is playing double agent, and if he gets caught, playing both sides, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But I think they should get rid of Angelina next. She dug her own grave. She clearly overplayed her hand there, trying to win Elizabeth over. It totally backfired, and she dodged a huge bullet. But I think her time is short now. I really do. We'll see. And I love Gabby now, but we'll see. I'm worried about her as well. It's going to be between Gabby, Alec, or Angelina, or someone that might shock us. Who knows? And how about Allison winning that challenge? And we even got to see some of her strategy a little bit, too. guys. What do you think, guys? Because I was shocked that it was a unanimous vote getting rid of Elizabeth. I really. We're going to have to see what was said on these extra clips, if there was anything that we missed. I know there was, but we'll see. Looking forward to next episode, guys. Crazy episode. Take care. Woo.
All right. Thanks, Pete. I think there were 2 extra videos, and then there was Elizabeth shared something in her interview with Dalton Ross that really helped explain some of that. In one of the Angelina videos, she talked about how set they were early in the day to vote Elizabeth out, that both the Davids and the Goliaths were in agreement. And then there was an extra video with Carl talking about his ongoing challenges with Elizabeth, and you saw Carl throwing Elizabeth under the bus there at the merge feast too. I think the real kicker for how things turned out at Tribal Council, though, came in that interview with Dalton Ross. Do you remember what Elizabeth said there?
About? She said a lot of things. What specifically?
So she said that when she went to go, she actually got up at one point and go whisper to Carl to talk to him. He completely shut her down. He said, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear anything from you. And she said she felt like she lost whatever ground she had gained by going on the offensive against Angelina. When that happened, he just completely shut it down, and she just turned and went back and sat down, and she kind of felt it was over at that point.
And that none of the Goliaths would go with her, if now seeing that not even her own David tribe would stay together with her. So it was over at that point.
Now it makes a little more sense. I think there's obviously a lot more that went on in that tribal council, but I'll make sure to include a link in the show notes to that EW interview. There's some other really good tidbits in there too that Elizabeth shared. Interesting, but
yeah, there were other things in the article, so it's worth a check out.
Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got another call from Hayley.
Hi, Joanne, Stacy, and listeners. This is Hayley calling in from Denver again. I actually saw this episode kind of in terms of winners and losers. One of those winners actually being Elizabeth. She really defied all my expectations. I remember reading her bio at the beginning of the season and thinking she was just kind of a hick who was going to get eaten alive, and I just thought, oh, no. But she was actually really unique and fun to watch, and I liked seeing how she really fought at the end. So I wish she'd lasted a little longer. She was really strategic and kind of zany. I liked it. But another winner I saw this episode was really the local staff who works at Ponderosa. I feel like they really glammed up the rooms this season, and they obviously take a lot of pride in the place. I was just thinking I would love to be a fly on the wall for some of their conversations with each other just about this crazy show and crazy Americans, and I'm sure they've seen some things and have some funny stories. But I was actually hoping you could answer a question. I don't quite understand where all the people voted out before the merge are kept, because I assume the people voted out after the merge are kind of sequestered as the jury there, but I'd love to know where those two different groups of people are kept. But back to the winners, I thought Gabby was a winner. I think she could actually win like an Oscar or like a Tony for the most dramatic tear wiping at Tribal. And I think the editors just made that really funny with the sound effects, and she really wiped those tears quite aggressively, if you will. Also, Kara comes out ahead. I like the knowledge she has, and I've really actually moved on from hoping that Dan gets voted out with 2 idols in his pocket, and now I'm just hoping that he gets voted out while playing one of those idols for Kara in some big romantic gesture gone wrong. So, I don't know. Maybe it won't happen, but let me dream, guys. Actually, the only loser this week I saw is me. I watched this episode after a really long nursing shift and had a big glass of wine. One of my patients actually got a little confused under anesthesia this week and thought I was a turtle. So I really enjoyed the downtime watching Survivor, enjoyed the wine, actually maybe a little too much. I changed my USB from John to Nick. I like the underdogs. I like how he's playing his game, but maybe not as well thought out as I would have thought in retrospect, but I hope it'll turn out okay. But anyway, don't drink in JSFL, guys. Thanks, bye.
That's awesome. All right, our resident Survivor turtle, Hayley.
To answer Hayley's question, usually the people who are voted off pre-merge, or at least pre-jury, stay at the Ponderosa until the first.
which they used to call
Losers Lodge.
Yeah, Losers Lodge, but you don't see that
It's
anymore.
really Ponderosa.
Yeah.
And they stay there until the first person from the jury comes, and they move the other people out. Sometimes they send them on a cruise. They have gone to other countries on vacation. They just, usually they're sent off somewhere where, people won't know, but they don't get to commingle at all. So they move them out, send them on a vacation, do something together.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's always been before. So I'm assuming it was that way this time.
Yeah, and we've seen that. I remember seeing pictures from last season of the pre-merge group out traveling. So that's basically what they leave the Ponderosa at that point and get to go have some fun trips together, assuming they can get along. I don't know about this group, though. Whew. Yeah, good deal. Thanks for sharing all that. That was excellent. Good job on your second call, Hayley. Next up, we got an email from Tina in Virginia. Dear Joanne and Stacy, I hope you're both well. I'm continuing to enjoy this season like most of your listeners. I think this season's better because there are not too many cool beach type younger people who still don't have a career path. I think that the few years difference and what more players seem to be working folks and serious players is making the difference. Also, not having a gimmick like Ghost Island is helpful. What are your thoughts on why this season is better? Maybe we should pause and try to answer that. What do you think's part of it?
I think it's pretty good people. The cast, this is pretty good cast.
Yeah,
me.
there's some folks that sort of qualify for what she was just talking about, like Jessica, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good cast for sure. And there's plenty of fans that are still in the game. Last season, a lot of the big fans got knocked out early. People who had strategic potential, who had some real promise in the game, ended up leaving early. And yeah, I love not having the Ghost Island silliness taking up too much
Well, I
time,
guess you
which
could
means
call David versus Goliath a gimmick, but that's kind of in the background now.
yeah, it is and it isn't. Somehow this theme isn't as intrusive or disruptive as it,
Yeah.
because they're not forcing it. It's actually become smoothly integrated. Maybe it's just because it's a better known theme.
You know what I
Familiar
think
theme.
is because Jeff isn't saying it and pushing it,
beating
and
us over
pushing
the
it
head with it.
like
yeah.
he did with some of the other
Yeah,
gimmick things or
right.
theme.
Again,
for the
familiarity
season.
with this theme goes a long way. You don't have to. I'm sure he feels like sometimes he has to sort of teach it. But yeah, okay. Then yeah, just there's a good cast. Sometimes you get good cast, sometimes you don't, and some of the don'ts are gone. So that's good. It's when you got. I mean, ideally you lament every loss, but that certainly was not the case with the first outs here, with the exception of Pat. So I've been fine with who went out early up until now. All right, good question. Moving on. I'm really enjoying the players, even the people like Dan and John, who I usually repel from. I feel they are real people with human fragilities and not Mactor types. John seems extra appealing with his shy, awkward side, and Dan seems to have the extra baggage of his overweight years, pun intended. This gives both players some depth and appeal, plus they are both showing some love to my favorite super nerd, Christian. I'm sad to see Elizabeth go. I enjoyed her talking scenes and the fact that she was a serious player. I even think Angelina is enjoyable, although she did make a serious mistake and may have to jump ship from the Goliaths in order to survive. I'm looking forward to the Goliath implosion and the Alec downfall. I'm enjoying Mike's play. He is a thinker and is able to assimilate well. Do you think the show's giving him some favoritism because of his past connections to Jeff and the producers? Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, especially when you can see how thrilled he was just to make the merge. He was so worried that he wasn't going to. Yeah. I occasionally do implicit bias training, and it is very hard to set aside biases in favor of people or biases against people. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I noticed that when Mike's team did not do well in that heavy water challenge, Jeff tried so hard to make it a positive outcome for him and his team. That's a good point. What are your thoughts? Bias or no bias? Well, certainly Jeff's relationship with you can factor in. So it's possible he was cutting him some slack. I mean, you can see Jeff obviously likes Cherie, and he went out of his way to try to make her feel better and help her finish that challenge that So yeah, it's definitely there. I guess I hadn't.
He's beat up other teams that seem weak, but I think because that team they really tried so hard. If they had just quit in the beginning and didn't try, I think he would have been.
You would have got a different reaction from
very
him for
much.
sure. Yeah.
But they were struggling and bleeding and, doing the best they could. They just could not physically do it. Mm-hmm. Especially Mike.
Yeah.
So,
he was the weak link there. So I understand what Tina's trying to highlight.
It would be hard to rag on somebody when they just gave their all, even though it wasn't enough.
Yeah, depending on who you are. Yeah. So maybe Tina's right.
But yeah, because he knows Mike, it might have made a difference. So there might have
had some
been
extra compassion there. Yep, behind how he handled the commentary. Okay, let's wrap up. And if I can end with a public service announcement to all future potential snitches in the Gainesville, Florida area, Officer Dan cannot keep a secret for $1 million. He will not keep yours. All the best. That's great. Oh, that's awesome. Good closer right there, Tina. Good job. Enjoyed that. Thank you for the questions there. And the insight on the biases, too. I obviously wasn't picking up on that. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Cameron from North Carolina calling in with my Week 7 listener feedback. Normally, I like to wait till after I hear you guys' take on the episode, but I got to record a little bit early this week because I'm going out of town this weekend. So I've only seen the Survivor episode and not listened to your podcast yet, Joanne and Stacy. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Starting off, something didn't rub me right with Allison's "the game starts now" comment. It sort of indicates to me that she hasn't even tried thus far. What I was thinking when they were feasting, I bet that sign was an idol. Right when I saw that little message on it, I thought back to China when both of James's idols were signs atop the tribe's gates. Gabby seemed really analytical of where the idol could be. I'm surprised she didn't try to grab that thing. Who knows, maybe it wasn't, maybe I'm just thinking way outside of the box here. It's the small things in Survivor I always love to see, so I'm glad we actually got to see this season the naming of the merged tribe. I can't remember the last time we got to see it, but in recent seasons, I don't remember seeing the formations of Levita, Solewa, or Maku Maku. And now it's becoming official that Carl just does not like Elizabeth. Darn alcohol, you truth serum. This podcast has some great listeners. I think pretty much everyone here called Dan blowing his cover, yet again with Kara, with regards to the idol. Would you just look at the way Angelina's staring bullets at Alec when he came up to join the Goliath conversation? Man, she's petty. But on the topic of Alec, why is it we're seeing just so much more of him this episode than ever before? If someone started watching this episode, they'd think he was pulling the strings all along. I really like the dynamic of this challenge. Uniqueness is always enjoyable when it comes to immunity challenges. The bar seems strong enough to me that really it would take quite a bit for the statue to fall. Looks like Mason Dixon and the Rockstars, instead of blowing up in Nick's face, is coming to actually not just combine, but expand. Things are going well for Nick. Fingers crossed that does not hurt him. Look at Elizabeth and Gabby. No, I hadn't been a huge fan of either of them thus far, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for them putting the game above their emotions. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too well for Elizabeth, though. Man, I was so close to saying Elizabeth was going to be safe this week in JSFL, so thank God I didn't. Yeah, Angelina's been exposed, but ultimately it was sort of established earlier in the episode that the Davids were all alright with cutting Elizabeth loose anyway. I said on JSFL that Carl, Davey, John, and Kara were all safe, which is pretty much the safest I could have gotten. We didn't hear a peep from Davey at all this episode. I think he's in an optimal position now. Next time on Survivor. Looks like we can't say Christian's that safe anymore. But neither can we for Dan. He's getting a lot more heat now. This may be very thinking outside of the box on my part, but did anyone else notice at the beginning of the Next Time on Survivor segment had a bunch of torches lit at night? Hopefully that translates to us being lucky enough to see a nighttime challenge next week, or maybe really lucky enough to see a classic Survivor Storytime challenge. Alright, Joanne and Stacy, Survivor fans, hope to hear some great feedback, and have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, Cameron. I'm glad you're able to get that in before you headed out. Yeah, I didn't get the sense that was really an element of the next episode. That was more a stylistic thing to intro that little clip on the next episode. So, although I'd love to have that again too, those nighttime challenges where they have to remember the elements of the story from early seasons. Cameron's
I hate
memory is so
those.
good.
I mean, it's a good challenge. But I would really hate to do one.
To run around in the dark like that.
Well, not just that. I have to remember everything, and under a stressful situation,
gets more and more challenging for us older we get, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like no, that's not happening.
You can understand now much better why Rudy just gave up. Yeah, good deal. Thanks, Cameron. Next up, we got a call from Shea.
Hey guys, this is Shea. I called last week on Friday afternoon after work, but I didn't hear it on the podcast, so I don't know if the really loud truck behind me stopped you from being able to hear me, or if I was too late calling in, and if that's the case, then I'm definitely too late calling in this Saturday morning. Sorry, I'm sick. So, to the show. I loved the merge. I loved the food that was laid out. It looked delicious to me, and I wasn't starving, so I'm assuming to them it was amazing. I thought for sure Gabby was going to find something. They were alluding to it, but I guess not, and I hope you guys are correct. I hope somebody comes across it in the trash somehow, but I was a little surprised by Carl. He was a little more snarky and vengeful, and I don't know, quick to dismiss his own tribe member, and I guess I didn't see that coming from Carl, especially seeing as how he just cried over losing someone he knew for 2 days. So I'm
point.
really sad that Elizabeth went. She was playing a quiet game before, and I think that was working for her. But I think she got a little too vocal and made herself noticed. So she's gone, which is a shame. I think she added to the show. I think Angelina has dual personalities. I mean, she literally can go from being the boss and running the show to a victim, like, so quickly. It's not even funny. I like the 6-person alliance between the 3 Goliath and the 3 David. I'd like to see where that goes. The challenge, I love that anyone was capable of winning it. I loved that very much. I think one of my favorite parts of the show was your recap. It brought up things I didn't even think of. I absolutely love your show following that show. It makes it complete. And I never knew anything was missing before, so I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. And I'm not sure who I'm rooting for at this point. And now that I'm thinking about it, Joanne, have you picked someone new? I don't know if I heard you mention that. Have you stuck with Dan, who spilled his guts in 10 seconds? Or are you changing to someone else now that they've merged? If I missed that, could you repeat it? Okay, well, I will talk to you guys next week. All right, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Shay.
I have not totally decided yet whether to stay with Dan or not. I just cannot see him winning. And I actually think they're nuts if they don't target him next.
Yeah.
Because I think while they've got the numbers and he maybe is not suspecting it, I think they need to pop him right now.
The most interesting thing about that for me isn't Dan, it's Kara and what she decides. Because I think the power actually rests with her. She's enamored with Dan, and so she's
Maybe
complicit
slightly.
in that. No, she is, because she's acknowledged that she can't beat him at the end because he's there playing for his 2 daughters, and she knows that, and it's a good story.
But she wants to win
But
too.
she hasn't definitively decided that she's going to take him out.
Well, what she said, I thought she had, because what she said was she wanted to win too. She needed to win also. And that, right now she's using him as a shield.
Yeah, so there's what, 1 or 2 extra videos with her, and they're good. And the extra videos are out there so everybody can see all of them this week, which is really nice. I just wish they would just
public.
do that all the time. And so they don't have a whole lot of content. Like, it's interesting. It's really worth watching the one with Carl. And I guess the majority of them are all about, hey, the game really starts now kind of thing. But there's some good stuff with Christian. But the Carl one, and then the Kara one too, I think is worth watching.
Well, if you've got the alliance of Alec, Allison, Mike, Nick, Gabby, and Christian, they all know that Dan has an idol. And if they're really wanting to be, they only need one more person to hit Dan. So you would think they could bring in either Carl or...
Alex easily got Carl and Davey, since that seems to be their primary connection, that Alex got himself being the information feed to those two.
And so they could make that happen right now as long as everybody keeps quiet.
They could. They absolutely could.
But they would have to deceive Angelina, John, Dan, Kara. They'd have to make sure they didn't get wind of anything.
Pre-tribal council, they were still pretty much set on this idea of knocking out 2 Davids before they moved on the Goliaths.
They were, but I'm hoping that'll change now that they would still have, the Goliaths would still have, even if they take one out, they still have the numbers, the Goliaths.
You know Angelina would be all down to teach Dan a lesson right now.
Probably, so.
She's fuming after that tribal
But
council.
I think Carl likes Dan. I'd be a little hesitant to tell Carl. They might be better off bringing Angelina in.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because they could easily get
Especially
Angelina and
since
Davey.
Dan wants to, all they'd have to say is Dan wants us to take you out.
Yeah.
And we're not having that. So let's get him. We know he's got an idol. We need to get rid of it. And Angelina 100% on board at that point.
It's just Alex not thinking too highly of Angelina right now. So reaching out to her for help, that's going to...
Oh, he wouldn't do
gonna be
that.
hard.
He'd have Allison do that.
Yeah, probably.
No problem. He wouldn't do it. Or Mike. He'd have Allison and Mike handle that.
And at the beginning of Shay's feedback, and we're sorry you're feeling bad, and we hope you get better soon, Shay. We did address that at the end of the listener feedback show. We got a call. It showed up in our call log, but it didn't come to us as voicemail, so we reached out to our voicemail provider. They checked on it, and there was a call. They said someone listened to the intro to the voicemail, and then there was dead air for 3+ minutes. So we never got anything of yours that we could play in that case, Shay. Something went wrong with your call last week, but we're glad that you were at least feeling good enough to be able to call in and share your thoughts this week, and thank you for the questions. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Sophie.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey and Survivor fans. This is Sophie in Texas. I almost said California. I've been thinking about everybody in California with the fires, so I hope everybody's well and hopefully nobody's lost anything, or I know that terrible things going on all the time, so just please be safe, everybody. And Survivor really was another good show this week. It was a good episode. I was so close to getting Elizabeth out. I had her going home, and then last minute I changed it to Carl. I just thought that maybe the single challenge, individual challenge, would show the men's strength for some reason, just endurance, and maybe they would just say, you know what, enough girls have been voted out, let's get a guy, let's get a boy from the David tribe. And I thought that maybe it'd be Carl, so no, I should have just kept with Elizabeth. Yeah, especially because it was 2 more points, but I still got my 4 safe points. So this year, it's the second time I'm playing the game. I'm doing a lot better than last year. I have to choose now a USB, so who will I choose? I quite like Davey. I don't know, just his smile and his positive energy. It'll probably be somebody like Allison or John, though. They seem like really good listeners. I also like Mike. I think he's playing pretty well as well. So I don't know. I don't usually choose who I think will win, because last year I thought it would be Wendell, but I just chose the underdog. That's just me. I'll always do that. So I will probably just choose somebody who doesn't have much of a chance, but who I hope wins. I don't know if that will be Gabby, though. Oh my goodness, her crying again at the tribal. It was a great episode. I just think that Angelina is just digging a hole for herself. She really needs to just hold her tongue this coming episode and not try to dig herself out. The more she talks, the more she seems guilty and conniving. But overall, it was a really good episode to watch with my family. We enjoyed it. John, I quite like that he's so big and tough looking, but he's got this insecure side to him. I think actually deep down he's a bit of an introvert, even though he's out there in the public doing the wrestling. He just reminds me a lot of my brother-in-law, who's like a big guy and tough looking, but is extremely sort of tender and emotional deep down. So he seems like a little bit awkward around people, and I don't know, I think it's quite endearing to watch. I hope you have a great week, everybody, and looking forward to next week's challenges. Hopefully they'll have rewards, and they'll start picking who they want to go on the rewards, and that will cause drama and everything else. So I just wanted to know, what do you think that piece of paper that Alec is holding up in the preview for next week is? Do you think it's the back of that sign that we saw at the merge feast. Anyway, take care. Bye.
Thanks, Sophie. Yeah, it's not Alec, it's Nick. She's referring to the preview video that's out for the next episode already, I think, because there's not anything in Next Time on Survivor. And
what does it say? The surprise ending with question marks all around it?
Yeah, so they've put a graphic over it to say that. So yeah, you do see Nick sitting there holding a piece of paper, and I was looking at it and I thought, well, I guess it could have that sort of torn, rough edge look like the paper that was at the merge feast. But when you see Jeff lift up the cover at something at what I've got to believe is a reward challenge, since I didn't see the individual immunity idol there beside him or in the background. That could just be because the shot's framed really close. But he lifts something up, and it very well could be a piece of paper under there. So if it's from the paper that was there at the merge feast, I thought that would most likely be an advantage, that it wouldn't be like a clue to another idol, since there are already 3 idols in play. I don't think they ever go, they don't generally go above the number of tribes, or the sort of the max number of active idols doesn't tend to go above the tribe count.
Unless it's the super idol that can be used after the vote or something like that.
Yeah, and we don't have any indication that thing is in play this season. Although it could. That would be a fun surprise, I'm sure.
We don't have an indication that it's not.
It's not like, that's fair. It's not likely that it's a explanation of the idol nullifier, because you got to kind of think, why would he say that? I don't know what to do with this, or I don't know, I don't know what this is. I forget what his exact words are.
He could have meant, whether to tell, don't tell.
Or it's just a reward, and he's got a certain amount of time to decide who's going to go on it with him, that kind of a thing. So yeah, it could be that too. So not sure, but I don't think it's that, and I don't think it's like an idol nullifier, because they wouldn't bring that into play before the nullifier had actually seen some game action. So it would be some other kind of advantage or something related to the reward. That's my best guess, Sophie. Great to hear from you this week. Next up, we got a short email from Slappy McGee, but glad to have him back.
And he is currently on tour in the backwoods of Maine.
Okay.
He says, howdy, Joanne and Stacy. Angelina is the absolute worst. The absolute worst. That is all. Love the show. You two rock. All right. Thanks, Slappy, for tuning in.
Uh-huh. Yep, and sharing that little bit of insight. It's easy to come away from this episode not thinking highly of Angelina, that's for sure. She definitely, and you really got Allison and I think a tag team of Gabby to thank for that, because pointing out that was currying jury votes was just brilliant. That was some great on-the-spot thinking right now. That just really roasted Angelina.
And in Elizabeth's article, the interview, she said Allison was really angry about it. So I don't think we saw, because she didn't seem angry in what we saw so much, but it sounds like there might have been a lot more around that as well.
Yeah, and then everybody piled on. That's got to be an awful feeling. When you watch the extra video where Angelina is talking about how stoked she is to be at the merge and how she's kicking her game into the next level and all the good things that she's got planned, and this is where from the episode you get that clip where she explains her using the military terms and things like that. You see how she was feeling there, and then you imagine the contrast after that tribal council. She just got wrecked, and that's going to be interesting to see her recover from that and see if she's able to turn that back around. All right, next up, we got a call from Victoria.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor Superfans. This is Victoria from Maryland. I'm super, super pumped because I remember to bring feedback in 2 weeks in a row. Yay! Now, I think when Pete says woo, it sounds better than my yay. So I don't think I'm going to do yay again. I'm disappointed in myself. So with this episode, I had Angelina to go home. I kind of wanted Angelina to go home because she just annoys me. So I knew that as soon as Elizabeth went out of the immunity challenge, just the editing of it made me think, she's about to go home. But it was very nice and entertaining to see them go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then see Angelina, like, meet her in some abandoned trail. And then for her to say, no, I wasn't doing anything wrong. Like, you're in an abandoned trail, Angelina. I actually did want Angelina to go home at that point. I also wouldn't have minded if Gabby would have went home. She's killing me with the ugly cry. I love her as a person.
Oh,
like she seems like she'd be a nice lady to get to know. But as soon as those waterworks and that ugly cry start, she just loses me. I can't take her seriously when she does that. I understand her passion, and I'm appreciative that she does take the game very seriously. But then it's a game for $1 million. Calm down. Be more strategic, because I do like her when she is making plans like that, and when she is all about the strategy. She's gun-ho. I love everything about her. She just got to stop crying. I was surprised that Carl was out to get Elizabeth as much as he was. She must have really annoyed him with that whole bed making thing. I was very happy because my USB John is laying low, so I'm like, yes, John, please continue to lay low, because these people on this tribe have no idea about taking out anybody who's a physical threat, which is weird to me, because I feel like the physical threats are really about to show up and show out. I can see Allison being a physical threat. I can see Dan being a physical threat. John's definitely a physical threat. So when it's time for everybody to turn on each other, I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out. Again, love everything about you guys. Victoria from Maryland. I'm out. Bye.
Thanks, Victoria.
Right.
I love that. Her description of Gabby, the ugly cry, that is spot on. Good deal. And in the extra videos, I think Mike and maybe one or two of the others talk about targeting the physical threats and what that means. And then Dan and John talk about how they're looking at it from that perspective. And if you want more on why Carl turned so hard on Elizabeth, definitely check out his extra video, because he lays it all out. He just thought that she was a problem from the drop, I think. So they didn't show us all that dissatisfaction he had with her from the get-go. Thanks again, Victoria. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Drew's crew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew and...
Gabby, Kitty, and my little twin.
And...
All the way. And my baby.
And your baby. Okay, so something different for today. I actually showed the kids the immunity challenge, which I don't think that they've ever actually even watched any of Survivor until now, but we watched the pendulum swing immunity challenge, and what do you guys think of it?
Angelina wins.
No, Angelina, no, it was Allison, remember?
Yeah, she wins.
Was it exciting?
Yeah.
What happened in it? What were they doing?
All the statues circle the statue around, and then you clean it if you're not good at it. And then the statue falls off and it kind of goes this way.
And then you're out?
Yeah.
So who did you think was going to win? You thought Elizabeth was going to win, huh? How about you, babe? You both thought Elizabeth was going to win. I kind of did too, actually. Not for the first time. It came down to my USB and my vote out point up against each other in the challenge. And luckily, my USB went out this time. And I will say that they had me going at the tribal council. I thought it might be Angelina after all, but I don't know. I know that she's sneaky, but I also kind of thought that when she reached out to Elizabeth, that was kind of sincere. But who knows? Who knows with her? Maybe we'll find out in extra. Anyway, I thought it was a good episode of Merge. It was a good merge. And I have to say I'm kind of liking John right now. If I were going to switch, or if I didn't have a USB anymore, I'd probably switch to him just because I kind of like his style. But I also kind of can't really exactly see him winning. So I don't know. I'm just going to stick with Allison, I think, because I think she's getting just enough airtime and she's doing really well. And she won the first immunity challenge, but she's also not a huge physical threat. So she might not be seen in that way. But she could also be a social threat. So I don't know. I'm just going to stick with her. Oh, and by the way, full points and first on jury bonus. Not going to complain about that. Let's just wrap it up. I think the winner of the week is going to be Angelina because somehow she just keeps sticking around. And the loser of the week, I don't really want to give it to Elizabeth because I feel kind of bad about that. But I'll give it to... Who was first out? There you go, Julie. Good call. We'll give it to Mike because he was first out on the challenge. No other reason, really. That's okay. All right, everyone have a great weekend. And talk to y'all later. Do you have anything else to say, Charlie? Did you like the challenge?
Yeah.
It was fun, huh? You wanted to watch some more, didn't you? Did you like it, babe?
And I won the movie.
He wants a movie date. We'll see about that. Okay, a couple more spooky voices. Okay, bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
I certainly would not get rid of Allison if I had her for USB 24.
No, she's got a pretty good extra video too, talking about what that meant and how she's approaching the game and how she's eyeing an idle individual immunity run. She's thinking about setting a goal to tie or beat the all-time female wins there. So,
of course, if I had John, I wouldn't get rid of him either.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I feel good about where he is, but it's really hard to see it coming together for the end right now. This is such a pivotal point in the game, and we all hope for more insights into our particular picks or who we're eyeing when we need to make a new choice, and it's not clear. It's definitely not clear. So I've given his physical appearance, how he's managed himself, and what he's brought to the episode so far. I think he's doing good, so I'm still hopeful. But yeah, I'm mulling that over probably just as hard as you are, Dan. So.
I'm not sure if I'm mulling him too hard. The thing for me would be if I can figure out somebody else I think could win. And if I could decide on that, then I think I could let Dan go.
Oh, that sounds like a great topic for the wrap-up. Let's hit that at the end, too. Be noodling on that a little. The pros and cons. All right, we got a call from Rick-n-Kristen. New callers.
Hi. This is... I don't know. It just always comes out like that, and then you look at me like, why are you saying it like that?
Every time
okay,
you
so
start laughing.
This is our 10th attempt. So this is John, Rick, Hobbs, Robs, and
Kristen, Robs, his wife. You said you weren't going to interrupt me as much.
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you just as much. So our USB is Christian, who's awesome. We think after this week, he's in a pretty solid place. He is in the Brochachos threesome, and he's also in this new kind of stealth David Goliath 6-person alliance, which also coincidentally contains 2 of his strong alliances with Gabby, as well as Mason Dixon with Nick.
Yeah, and he's really setting himself up to be a JT-like player, where people like him, they're rooting for him, even in some cases at the cost of their own game, which we'll see more of, I think, as the season progresses. In the same vein, well done to Alec for setting up this alliance, because
he did a really good job.
He chose a smart alliance. He didn't alienate any of the people in his alliance from their strongest partners, but instead drew them in, and he also didn't choose heavy hitters, so I don't think... Maybe with the exception of Christian, a lot of them are going to get targeted.
Yeah, and I think it was wise for him to set it up with the intent of them not actually acting together for the first couple votes so that they don't appear to be together, hopefully. I mean, they might, I guess people could notice them all sitting in a circle on the beach talking, so it's hard to say.
But it doesn't matter, really. They have one vote to go through, and then the 6 of them are in the majority. Even on this next vote, they can vote together and force a tie.
Yeah.
Angelina, wow.
Yeah, why did she do that?
So I really see her move in the same light that I see Dan sharing about a second idol when she told Elizabeth that they were going to vote her out. Nothing good comes from telling someone that you're going to vote them out, ever. The same reason that nothing good ever comes out of telling someone that you have 2 idols. All it does is give the person you're telling all of the power in the game. And in a game that's for $1 million, the last thing you want to give someone is information
and
currency.
She was going to cuddle with him regardless of whether he shared the second idol with her.
Yeah. So 2 stupid moves, but only
Totally
one
dumb.
person have we seen the fallout for that.
Yeah, tribal council, Elizabeth gets voted off. We both kind of believe that she had a pretty good shot of staying in the game if she had stopped after the first time. She had said that there was cracks in their alliance, but after 3 or 4 times of saying it, I think she kind of did herself in. But I think the first one stirred it up just enough that she had a chance of actually sticking in there.
Yeah.
Because that's when people started whispering.
Yeah, well, and the problem is that after she said it 3 or 4 times, it became clear that her move was for her, and she wasn't emphasizing how getting rid of Angelina would be beneficial for the Goliaths.
Yeah.
Next week.
So I hope Dan is going home next week. I really want to see that 2 idols in the pocket being sent, walking home.
He can hang out with James. They can go out for coffee and talk about stupid moves.
Anyway, that's our feedback. I think that's it.
My stomach's growling.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right, she's good for about 3 minutes, then she gets hungry. Remember that, Rick. That was great. Good job, guys, on your first feedback. Yeah, we definitely know what that's like. We have our share of talking over each other, too, don't we?
Absolutely.
You get so excited about the game and what you want to share. It's hard sometimes. So one thing you definitely want to go do if you're a Christian fan is go watch the Angelina extra video where she talks about spending just a little bit of time with him and the impact that he had. And it's just like more insight into what led her to target him as a threat. And
he was a threat to her because he pulled her in right away. And she went, whoa.
Yeah. And then I guess your other homework assignment, Rick and Kristen, would be to go read that EW interview with Elizabeth. And you get, I think you're certainly right to an extent. When she first pitched it, it had an impact. And then, like we said, when Carl stepped in, that's what really shut it down. Good deal. Good job, guys. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, what a merge episode. There's definitely a lot to unpack in this week's observations. Number 1, poor Tiva. Don't you just hate it when uninvited guests show up during breakfast? Absolutely. They're like, what? We're going to have to share these coffee cups with all these other people, you know? That was what I was thinking. I remembered when I was watching the episode. It's like, wait a minute. They don't have enough cups for everybody. There's going to be like 5 cups for 13, 12 people. Yeah. Number 2, I was sorry to see Pat Shelter get abandoned at the merge. Yeah, that was surprising, wasn't it? Number 3, John really went to Slam Town on the merge feast. He did indeed. In Mike's extra video, he tells you about how he did also. He talks about being a vegetarian and how happy he was that they had so many choices for him, too. He said he'd be happy to hire them as caterers anytime. Number 4, I wonder if we'll revisit the Everything You Need sign in a future episode. Seems like it. If we don't, it's a huge miss. Number 5, Angelina hates flippers, but voted out Natalie. She expects people to do what she says, but hates being told what to do. Hypocrite much? That is perfect. Yeah, that's one of those themes that comes up every season in Survivor. Carl is a mean drunk. Number 6, Carl is a mean drunk. Let him drink too much and he'll try to vote you out. Number 7, I'm hopeful that for once Mason Dixon will be a means for bringing warring sides together instead of a means for keeping them apart. Number 8, Dumbo Dan was right to call Kara his kryptonite. How else to explain the instant weakness in his resolve when she's near him? Number 9, the Davids in the counter Goliath Insurgency better watch out. Directors like Mike fake stuff with CGI all the time. That's good. Number 10, Elizabeth's profession is kitchen staff, so she probably knew that her goose was cooked. Number 11, with all the different people thrown under buses in this episode, the Fiji Transit Authority probably needed to hire more drivers. Number 12, Elizabeth looked like she was twirling a lasso in the pendulum challenge. Number 13, John's wrestling and parkour really rely on his balance, so I wonder if he intentionally stepped off at 4 in the challenge to seem like less of a threat. There's nothing in the extra video about that.
No,
so.
And it seemed like because he stepped back on so fast, I thought he was going to try to
He was trying to cover,
Yeah.
Number 14, Dr. Purple was pulsing after her win not long ago. We wondered if she had a pulse. Number 15, Angelina isn't a Marine, but she tried to play one on TV. That's good. Number 16, the Goliath Beach Parade can't hold a candle to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Number 17, Angelina tried to manage Elizabeth's jury vote. She might have fared better if she had asked her for her jacket. Zing. Nice. Number 18, GameBot Angelina tried to have a human moment with Elizabeth, but failed the Turing test. Do you know what that is, the Turing test?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Number 19, if Angelina reaches the final 3, her snarkiness and obvious gameplay will net her 0 votes. It definitely feels that way right now. Next time, Angelina's a slime ball. Will we see a brochacho blindside? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. You delivered as always. Aces. Next up, we got another call from someone new. Here's CJ.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is CJ in South Florida. I'm a first-time caller, and I'm so thankful that I found your podcast. My son, who was my fellow survivor deep diver, recently moved away with his family for a job change, so I no longer have the chance to discuss the episodes. So I found your podcast, and I've been enjoying so much the recap and the feedback show, and I thought that I would maybe process through some of my thoughts on the feedback show. So here it goes. Before the season started, I picked Nick as my winner, and I'm actually very happy with my pick. Like you said, Stacy, on the recap, no one's talking about Nick. But ever since episode 1 aired, I've just been falling more and more in love with Gabby. Being a teacher and a nerd myself, I just really relate to her and Christian. I know a lot of you, including you, Stacy, have been calling her an emotional yo-yo, and she's been taking a lot of hits because she's so emotional and she cries a lot. But I just love how transparent she is, and I really relate to her. However, I am very concerned now, like you, Joanne, that she got a little too upset and emotional at Tribal Council. Why not just stay quiet? But that's Gabby. She's not fake. She's just, she can't be fake, and that's why I love her. All that being said, I'm very happy about the shade that was thrown Angelina's way because I just don't see her as authentic. I do believe she has overplayed her hand, and I think she has no chance now of winning. I think Dr. Allison is looking very strong in her ability to process and stay calm in the midst of the chaos. I like the way she calls Angelina out as managing the jury, which I'm not even sure Angelina was doing that, but she definitely was not putting her alliance first. I think she's used to getting her own way, and therefore she was just upset that the alliance decided without her to go a different route. I was also thrilled that Dr. Allison was so excited for her family to watch her win the immunity so they could be proud of her. So as much as everybody is loving Christian, and I do too, I'm on board the Gabby Allison trip. I do enjoy Christian as well, but I'm very concerned about him because he's so well liked. Okay, that's all for me now. Thanks again for your dedication to the survivor community and your wonderful recap. I will look forward to next week, and God bless. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thank you, CJ, for sharing your thoughts and insights there. There to defend Gabby from my mean comments about her being an emotional yo-yo. But if you think Gabby isn't able or practicing some deception, I'd say rewatch the episode, because I'm more convinced of it on a rewatch that she, especially given how the votes went, that was a bit of a setup on Elizabeth. And Angelina talking about how all the Davids were happy to vote Elizabeth out. And now I just think that was a masterful takedown by Gabby. She just helped really make sure that lasso was tight around Elizabeth's neck going in. Thanks again, CJ. We look forward to more. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana. This episode and last episode at Tribal Council, it came down to two people. One is Angelina, who I'm not a fan of. She's starting to remind me of Kellen a little bit from last season. She's so high maintenance. And then the other person who's on the chopping block is someone that I don't care that much about. Darn. Lyrsa, Elizabeth, even though Elizabeth was really annoying in this episode. Seeing someone like Angelina get voted off this early in the game is freaking awesome. The problem was definitely waiting till Tribal, I think, to reveal that Angelina was revealing stuff to the Davids, because when you try to push the other person under the bus, it often ends up pushing you under the bus. And now you're the jerk that's trying to mess up Angelina's game. But when you do it before Tribal, then it gives people more time to think about it. And I thought this was a really entertaining episode. The strategy was amazing to see. The social interactions, the groupings. It was just so much fun. That's the stuff I love to watch. What people are thinking, what's going on in their heads. And when we actually get to see that process, it's really cool. I'm still not sure why all the Davids voted off Elizabeth. Seems like a waste of time. At least throw some votes Angelina's way. But maybe they saw it not go the way of Angelina, and they were all just like, well, there's no point in just drawing the line. We're all sticking together. If this season turns into Goliath strong, Goliath strong, Goliath strong, Goliath strong, you're gonna be so mad because I just did that. We just did that. Naveen strong. We just did that earlier this year. I just have to say something about Christian. Honestly, he is one of the funniest players to have ever played the game. If it's intentional or not, he is freaking hilarious. And I know Stacy doesn't like it because he's mugging for the camera and all that, but I think it's freaking hilarious. And I want to take notes off of Christian. He's such a charismatic guy, and he's hilarious. He has some of the best confessionals we've seen in Survivor history. He's up there with Jonathan Penner. He's so good. But next episode, the preview at least wants you to think it's gonna be Christian, and I'm not for that. It's too early for Christian. When I'm thinking for my winner pick, because I'm definitely not sticking with Dan. Like, you were doing good, Dan, but then like 15 minutes into the merge, he freaking tells Kara about his other idol. Like, what the heck, Dan? Gosh. My top pick for switching my USB is Christian, followed by John, followed by Davey, followed by Mike, followed by Nick. This episode was pretty good, and it would have been great if Angelina would have gone. But instead, it was Elizabeth, and we're all just, you know, I don't know. This is kind of a downer of feedback. Like, hi guys, I'm back, and I'm depressed. 17-year-old Parker is depressed now. I don't have the fun energy I used to have. I'm a grizzled old man. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if I was playing Survivor, I would freaking get Angelina out. I wouldn't wait until Tribal Council to blow up her game. I'd do that beforehand. Oh my goodness. Alrighty, that's all I got. See you guys next time.
Well, Parker definitely needs to season another year so he won't be emotional.
Yeah.
While he's playing Survivor.
There you go. Repeat after me, Parker. Get off my lawn. No, you want to go. There's two things. You definitely go check out that interview, like we said, with Elizabeth on EW, because critical piece of information. After she met with Angelina, they took her to do a confessional video. And when she finished her confessional video, they said, hey, we're going to Tribal Council. Go get your stuff.
So she had no time.
Yeah.
She would have brought it up before Tribal if she'd been able to, but she wasn't.
Yeah, and there's more stuff in there, obviously, in the interview, too. And then the other is when I was working on, I just shared this, when I was working on Parker's audio, and I came across that, and he talked about Christian being charismatic. I thought, well, I'm not seeing the charisma part of it at all. That's not something that's coming across to me. The awkward goofiness and that being entertaining, I can get all that. And yeah, I know it said he mugged for the camera. And I do believe he's playing it up true heart, just like Gabby is with her. You know, she's admitted to being a drama kid, and so when she's wiping her tears away with those great grand gestures, it's, you know, it's part of that too. But when Angelina was talking about in her extra video the impact that Christian had on her, I was like, Parker got it. I don't know what he saw that I didn't see, but he totally picked up on it because Angelina just confirmed it. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll enjoy that extra video.
Well, and I don't know how much they want us to see, because obviously that comes across when it's more one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Like him and she said they were out on the beach together talking.
Right.
And obviously he won John and Dan over totally in their little tribe. So.
And I thought that was more them just enjoying his company than it was him winning them over. But according to Angelina, there's something else there, and certainly Parker picked up on it. Good job, Parker. Thanks for that. Next up, we got a call from Nicola-n-Jackson.
Hello, fellow Survivor fans. This is Nicola and Jackson. And we just got done watching a fast forward of the merge episode. And the voting. We watched the challenge, and then we watched the voting, and Elizabeth went home.
And that's why she was my winner pick.
She was going to be your winner pick after Natalia got voted out.
Now, we got
to pick somebody else.
It's going to be Natalia.
Natalia's already gone. You picked her first. She's gone.
Who was the one to start with an E?
An E?
Yeah.
That was Elizabeth. She's gone too. But we'll have to look at the pictures and you can pick somebody new out, okay?
Okay.
Did you like the challenge with...
Yes.
The swinging thing?
Good.
It is good.
I loved it.
You loved it?
Because go for 50 hours.
You think you could do 50 hours with that?
Yeah.
Well, I will say that was actually a challenge on Australian Survivor this year, which CBS recently bought out Channel 10 that Survivor is on in Australia. So I'm wondering if they're collaborating at all on challenges or borrowing each other's stuff or whatever, because that was definitely in the last season. And I think there was a challenge earlier in this season that was also in Australia. And they also filmed in Fiji.
And
okay,
now,
what else you going to say? Wrap it up.
And wrap it up. And Joanna Stacy.
Say thank you for everything.
Thank you for everything.
And we will talk to you all next week. You have a great weekend. Jackson has 2 basketball games tomorrow. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right. Thanks, Nicola. Thanks, Jackson. Good job. Yeah, thanks for sharing that extra insight about the challenges, too. Next up, we got an email from Brandon in Brooklyn.
Wow, what an amazing episode. This season is shaping up to be pretty great. I was sure Angelina would be voted off. I know she's bossy and thinks she is in control, but that can only work for so long. I should have taken Carl being annoyed with Elizabeth more seriously.
Yep.
He probably told the Davids, let's just vote off Elizabeth as the first so he doesn't have to deal with her. I love the new 6-person alliance with Alec, Mike, Allison, Gabby, Christian, and Nick. They will dominate this game like never before. However, Alec, Mike, and Allison better be careful because the Mason-Dixon boys and Gabby will take over this game later. Dan, I believe, is in big trouble. He might have 2 idols in Kara, but people know they are a duo. He lost his boy Alec, and I predict a big blind side of him coming soon. I worry, what is Carl and Davy's plan? Davy has an idol, but I have no idea who is in his alliance going forward. See you next week. All right, thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I was thinking about that, too, earlier, because I really don't know where Carl and Davy stand and who they're communicating with. They're
well,
just
that
kind of
last
like,
part we know. They're communicating with Alec. I think Alec is their primary connection.
Well,
which is dangerous. If you've got only
very
one pathway
dangerous.
for information, yeah, you're in trouble. And you could tell in Davy's extra video this week that it was making him uneasy too.
Yeah, I'd like to know who else they're talking to. You know, I mean, I know Carl talked a little bit to Dan or John, but you know, when he was inebriated.
Well, he was talking to Angelina and Allison at the feast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still feel like they've been put on the back burner, and that's going to have to ramp up at some point. But if they successfully blindside Dan, then we hope somebody else finds an idol for Carl to use it against, because you wouldn't think he'd use it against Davy.
No, well, I think Carl's a very pragmatic man. If it meant him being in the game longer, he wouldn't hesitate.
He would,
yeah.
But you know,
if he knew. The thing is, they seem to have kept their secrets as far as we know.
Yeah, that's the only alliance that we know of that each of them have is each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about them or how they may. They kind of seem non-existent, but they both have, you know, major items to utilize in the game. So
yeah, they've got a path with the Davids, and we saw Gabby sitting and talking with Carl. So that relationship probably got renewed to a degree, although they weren't keen on Gabby, you know, when last they were a tribe together.
Why would Nick trust them though? They wanted to vote him out early on, so I'm not sure why he would trust him.
Well, yeah, it's about being adaptable and necessities, and so
true.
You figure things out on the fly in this game for sure. Thanks again, Brandon. Good job. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh, and I'm ready to talk about the ladies of Survivor. We're down to 4. Angelina is a very strategic player, but her problem is she wants to have her own way. I thought she was right in wanting to take Christian out, but in a confessional not shown on television, she said how much she likes Christian, but felt she was getting to be pulled in under his spell. And the longer they play, the more she'll be drawn in. So I think if she had just gone along with the group, she would have been in a far better position right now, because taking out Annie David is an advantage for her. And telling Elizabeth, well, that was an OMG moment if I ever saw one. I have no idea what she thought she'd accomplish, but luckily she managed to reframe their discussion differently in tribal council, and she was able to save herself for now. And as for Kara, she too is thinking strategically, and she talks about Dan's two idols, but she seems to feel the others don't know how tight the bond is with Dan, and we've seen that's not true. While she doesn't want to get to the final four by being rescued by him, she does feel that his idols will be to her advantage. Well, maybe. We've seen other pairs when one finds the idol, but the other goes home. So the target could be on Kara. And she also mentioned that at the final tribal council, Dan could win because he has two daughters to support. There's Gabby goading Elizabeth into dousing tribal council with her own napalm. That was inspired. But while Gabby's tears have been irking viewers, most of them have been confined to the confessional with Christian. But if they start pouring out more and more at tribal council and back at camp, then she'll definitely be alienating herself. And finally, Dr. Allison, MIA, but suddenly she's been popping up more and more. After winning the first individual immunity, she's really been pleased with herself. But I think it's more valuable that she has that secret alliance with the three Davids and the two Goliaths. She's in a good position, and I like the way she strategized with the other. Very level-headed and avoiding drama, which could take her to the final four. I thought the editing leading up to tribal council had us on the edge of our seats. Oh, and Joanne and Stacy, I enjoy listening to you on my Thursday morning walks with my dogs, but sometimes outside noises make it difficult to hear. So was that your cat that was joining you in your recap? If so, my dogs were not amused. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing from the other Survivor fans. Bye.
Oh, thanks, David.
Yes, it was our cat, our little Zed man.
I tried to cut some of that out, but I was afraid and I couldn't find it. I think I left something in because he'll come up and he'll rub his face against the pop filter on the mic sometimes too. So I wanted to try to make sure.
Well, he rubs his face on everything. But he doesn't get up here very often.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise on Wednesday night.
And he did it twice.
He's usually asleep catching a cat nap.
Yep.
All right.
We usually feed him so he will go take a nap.
Yeah, thanks, David. Enjoyed that. Thanks for the insight on the women of Survivor there. Next up, we got a call from BrandonA.
Hey, what's up, Survivor fans of Joanne and Stacy? It's Brandon from Cleveland. Another fantastic merge episode of Survivor to be expected, pretty much. I'm okay with Elizabeth going out. I think she played well in the beginning stages, but there are more people I'm excited to see go further in the game. I'm definitely rooting against Angelina. She's definitely who I consider to be like a villain this season, but I was still more interested to see her go further than Elizabeth. I'm thinking Angelina brings a lot to the TV show right now, but it's kind of funny because the whole build up to the vote out, I was rooting for Angelina to leave. But at tribal council, I was kind of wishing she would stay and for Elizabeth to go. It was kind of weird. And I think part of that was because, to me, Gabby broke out so much in this episode. And I don't know how much you guys have addressed it because I haven't listened to the recap yet. Plan on doing that the next hour or so. But I was really enjoying Gabby this episode. And then she lost me at tribal council. I was like, oh my gosh, you know what, I'm done. Like, the tears, oh my goodness. Usually, for some reason, crying doesn't get on my nerves this much. I understand people do it, people have their insecurities, and people do have a right to feel the way that they feel. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody, but for some reason, Gabby just gets on my nerves. She just comes off so whiny and helpless to me, even like when she's making traction and doing stuff, and then and it just comes out, and it's just, it annoys me and frustrates me to no end. So I wouldn't be sad to see her go soon, but I'm pretty sure she's not. I think she's going to be there for the long haul, but I certainly hope she does not win. Not a Gabby fan. So, and I was really liking her too, like the first 40 minutes. But anyway, I really like Alec this episode. I would legitimately think he had a chance to win if that whole situation with him breaking his, I don't know what it's called, but breaking that agreement or whatever, like I would think he would have a chance to win if it wasn't for that. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to what goes down next. And yeah, Survivor. All right, peace.
Excellent. Great job there, Brandon. Yeah, with that non-disclosure agreement, I got to agree with you. It's confusing watching because I'm watching him play and I'm thinking he is playing great.
He is.
Why, and I don't want to cheer for someone who disrespects the show like we were told. So yeah, it's a bit of a quandary.
Well, it keeps making me think, what's gonna cause him to be bitter enough? What's gonna happen that's gonna cause him to be so bitter that he did that?
Yeah, and he seems to have a deep respect for the game and knowledge of the game, and he's playing really well. That alliance is just stellar. That play into the middle, the way that's set up, is just. Well,
it can be dangerous, but it's certainly risky, and I admire, his ability to do that and juggle. It'd be hard to even remember what all you said to all that many people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely seems to be playing the double agent role as good as Ben did at this point. So, yeah, I'm curious how that all is going to end. Thanks again, Brandon. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. This was such a fun merge episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end, and I think the best part about it was how unpredictable it was. The best part about it for me, I think, was the cross-tribal alliance that is being formed between Christian and Gabby, Mike, Allison, Alec, and Nick. If they can lay low for just a little bit, really just for one more tribal council, I would actually be excited to see an alliance actually just take out all these other people. They would just have to be very careful to blindside Davey, which I think they could do if they targeted him in this next week. And I am super interested to see how Dan will leave this game. With 2 idols in his pocket, I think that he really just is in a power position, but I'm not quite sure he's using his power to its best advantage. Loose lips sink ships, and I just think he's just kind of talking to too many people at the wrong times. And I kind of think Kara is going to be instrumental, really, in how long he stays and when he goes. Anyway, I kind of liked the way the elimination of Elizabeth took place. I think that this new Alliance of 6 did exactly what was right for them. As long as it wasn't one of them, I think the fact that anybody else went was really a good thing for them to do. I don't think that they should have necessarily targeted a bigger player. They're going to find that easier to do when they have the majority at 11. Carl did not do himself any favors by drinking so much wine at the merge feast. He now, I think, would have a reputation of just kind of talking and not being able to be really trustworthy. So I kind of think he's going to go sooner rather than later. He'd be a real easy next vote off. He's a David, but he's not in that Alliance of 6. And not being a Goliath, the Goliaths aren't going to be really tipped off that there's anything hinky going on over there with the 6. And by Goliaths, I mean John, Dan, and Angelina. And Kara. If Davey or Carl are the targets, I don't think that they're going to resist much, and this new Alliance of 6 can stay under the radar for one more week, and then, boom, they have the majority and the ability to pick off that other 5. So I think that John, Angelina, Kara, Dan, Davey, and Carl are in some trouble. And I think Christian is going to be real pivotal in this next vote because John is a brochacho and so is Dan. And they might be in some trouble not being in this new Alliance of 6, so I'll be really interested to see what happens this next week. I think the smart move would be Davey or Carl, but Dan might be in some trouble, I think, this next week. My prediction is going to be, and my predictions are always wrong, Davey. Anyway, that's it for me. I hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. Until next week. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. I like all that.
I think Davey is a smart move.
Super smart, given what we know, because Davey's got an idol. Yeah.
Well, and if Goliath sticks together, I think that's who they will target. Definitely him or Carl.
Yeah, they don't even know to split the vote to try to flush it. So
true.
Yeah, I think Jen's really got it dialed in terms of her analysis on that.
But my thought was Alec, Allison, and Nick might not want to go along with that until after they break up, like John and Dan and Kara.
I don't know. They verbally were all in on taking out 2 Davids before they made started their big move.
I wouldn't be surprised if Allison sticks with like Alec and Mike and the other 3 Davids. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised that at some point she gets wind of, or Mike does, of Alec's other alliances with people, and they take him out and maybe flip John into that slot.
Yeah,
or Kara.
That would be a way for John to move forward, yeah.
Yeah, because Allison seems to be close with John, and I think she'd trust him more.
I think Jen is really onto something in terms of, that would make me feel better about John. I like that particular analysis. That could be a path to the end, because right now I don't necessarily see it.
Though it would be a smarter move, to take Dan and John out and keep Kara in their alliance, and then go after Davy and Carl.
They would have to need John for something, for that to happen.
Well, and they may need John to go against Davy.
Yeah, maybe that's the case, yeah.
Because who else is going to go against Davy?
There's a special kind of irony with it being Carl going next. That's what I just kept thinking. Because he gets to go be alone at Ponderosa.
With Elizabeth.
Wouldn't that be a hoot?
That would be awesome.
He's like, where's my beer? I need another beer. Please stop. You've told me that story already. Where's my beer? Yeah.
Oh, that would be precious.
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking.
He
when
voted
Jen was
her
going
out,
through.
so he didn't have to be around her,
and then he gets to join her, and they're the only ones there, at least for a 2 or 3. It's got to be a 3-day cycle that they're the only ones there for, not 2-day.
He'll probably just get food and take it to his room.
Yep. See you later.
Won't come out until somebody else shows up.
No, I'm sure he'll chill out afterwards.
Oh man,
that would just be perfect.
You are evil.
Yeah, I think Jen's right, and the other folks who were talking about it, that counter Goliath Insurgency Alliance, the CGIA, that's going to be power. Alec, Allison, Christian, Mike, and Gabby and Nick. That's the potential there to run the board is really, really strong if they can make it through this next cycle.
Well, the thing is normally I would never let go of a USB 24 if they're still in the game. I would usually just hang in there.
This one's got to be extra hard. When have you ever had one that had 2 immunity idols and a majority alliance?
And I'm so annoyed because he said twice. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
He said it about something else and about telling Kara. He said, I just couldn't help it.
And you couldn't ask for a better second than her. She's awesome. She's super social. She's really smart. She's game savvy. That's a lot. That's got to be a lot to let go of Dan.
That's not.
Right. Can she protect him from himself? Kind of looking like no, with him storming off when she was trying to talk to him.
Showing the temper thing, too. That was...
I'll show you.
That's kind of what made me go, I don't know. I might actually do it this time.
Let him go?
Yeah.
With all that potential energy to win?
I know. Yeah. That's why I said normally I would never let him go with that. But I just think, I don't even want you to win anymore. I'm so annoyed. I don't think that would make me happy.
If only he had kept that second idol to himself.
If he had done that, I probably wouldn't let him go.
Dude, for your daughters, you couldn't just keep that to yourself?
Please.
Man, much as you talk about playing for your daughters and you do that.
Still for Dan, it's pretty good if he really hasn't told anyone else. And Kara said in the extra clip, she was the only one that knew.
Well, that she knew, yeah. Angelina would be hugging on him, and then all of a sudden she'd know too. It's okay,
I don't think
Angelina.
she hugs on him. He hugs up to her some. I think that's part of
Well,
their
she talks about playing the motherly role. Yeah.
Yeah, pretending that they're not. But you guys aren't hiding anything.
You didn't hide anything from Elizabeth by sitting there and whispering to each other and giggling for 2 hours at night.
No, everybody knows.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What another great listener feedback show. Good job, guys. We want to thank everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and your predictions with us this week. You did fantastic. We love hearing how you felt about this episode.
And if you play JSFL, don't forget to make your picks before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern or 4:30 Pacific time on Wednesday. This is the only opportunity you will have this season to select a new USB for a possible 5-point bonus if your USB 24 is no longer in the game. If your USB 24 is still in the game, but you don't think they can win and want to choose someone else, you may do so for a possible 10-point bonus if they do win.
Convert them for a shot for 10 points at least. Yeah. However, you want to be sure if you make that choice that you got it dialed in, because when you click that button, you can't go back.
Not for 24 points. You can go back to the person, but not for 24
it would only be for
points.
10,
It
yeah.
would be for 10, and that would really hurt.
That would hurt. Yeah. Just by clicking, you'd forfeit 14 points at the end.
So I need to make very sure before I
that move away from Dan. Yeah, likewise with me and John.
I just
I like you gave me a path to look at John to the end, though. At least that's some hope.
Yeah, were you thinking about getting rid of him?
I had said that earlier, even in the listener feedback show here, that I have to consider it because he's not in the best position to win. These six in the middle, and they're middle folks, with the exception of maybe Christian, that they're in such a great position to win.
Well, and John's so likable.
Yeah.
I think if he got to the end, they could give it to him just because he's likable.
Oh, yeah. And it'll depend on who he's sitting next to, for sure.
True.
But I still believe he's got winning potential, even though he's this physical specimen that you see his social skills, which is what I saw a hint of in the preseason that made me choose him. And you realize that he's a threat to win. He's just not in the best possible position. Nobody's targeting him right now, so that's good.
If you let go of John, who would you choose?
Yeah, I would.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But you'd have to start with the six, even though there's some others that have a lot of potential. You got to take a solid look at Nick and Gabby and Mike and Allison and Alec. And Allison seems like she's in and Christian in a really hot space. And now with this insight from Parker and Angelina that Christian is charismatic, which I can't see, but I understand. I heard what you're saying there. Then you'd have to think about that.
Well, it's because I have too many people to choose for. Because I really think Nick has a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, Christian, Allison, and I would say Alec if that whole thing, the non-disclosure thing hadn't happened, but which makes me think he doesn't go to the end.
What if he were there in Final 3 and he goofed that up and now he's disinvited?
Well, that was my thought, but if he was in Final 3, would they disinvite him? Just because he's in Final 3.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. They're like, votes for him won't count.
See, I wish I didn't even know about that.
And they'll have them do a revote there in the finale night at the reunion show.
No, they're not doing it. You're just off on a tangent now.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking too much about Tuesday's elections.
It would,
here
that would be my struggle. Oh, Allison, I think, and then I think, well, Christian, I think still has a good shot, and
it'd be fun to cheer for either one of them.
Mike's got a shot, though. The only thing about Mike is I don't think people was going to want to give him money because he doesn't need it. So that's why. I don't think I would choose Mike, even though I think he's played a really good game and he's worthy, and especially if it continues to go his way. But I still think Nick's would have a good argument.
Oh, yeah.
too.
You wouldn't want Nick to be giving closing arguments. I think he would be quite eloquent. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely got winning potential.
And Christian,
and he's got a path to the end now.
And Christian could get over wordy and he could talk himself out of a win, too.
That's possible.
Even though he's charismatic, if he overtalks too much, it could just annoy people.
Can't see Gabby winning. I don't see that.
No, I don't see Gabby winning.
I can't see her in a positive light right now. But you don't want Kara at the end either.
No, I wouldn't want Kara at the end, but I don't think
She's got both a Natalie Anderson and a Natalie White kind of vibe going.
She does, and people really like her, and they talk about and she's genuinely interested in everyone. So,
unlike Angelina, who talks about how authentic she is, Kara seems to come across that way.
I don't think Angelina has a chance.
They've squashed that.
Yeah, I already ruled.
Squashed.
I guess she could, but I've ruled her out.
Yeah. At this point, we'll have to see what she can marshal in terms of a comeback.
And
she did the thing with Elizabeth just to get back at them too.
And then I think, was Allison too under the radar? The first part of the game, was she too invisible for people to really see that she's playing a good game? Or
no, I don't think that matters. If this 6 take control, if the counter Goliath Insurgency Alliance takes control, she'll have all the story she needs if she gets there.
True.
Carl and Davey seem to be swinging in the wind. They seem like the most unlikely ones to choose, even though
I would be shocked if either one of them got there. Davey thinks he has a really good chance, and I've already completely discounted Carl as being. I don't think he's got the goods.
He does sort of give you the sense that he'll get tired, or he'll just take his eye off the ball and then he's gone.
Or he'll just get annoyed and won't fool with it.
I'm done.
I'm done. I ain't talking to y'all no more. And I just don't think he's got it. Davey at least has the savvy to talk a good talk.
And the energy. He's got the youthful energy.
And Carl be like, I'm tired of talking to these people.
I'm just going to go drink beer with Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tried to talk sense, and they wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, out of those two, I don't see Carl having any chance.
No, they need some friends. They need some connections.
So
they need someone to need them. That's what they need.
Yeah.
All right. Well, excited for the next episode. The surprises keep coming. The season is just super strong. We had a great first half. Here's hoping we have a fantastic second half all the way to the end. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm good. Everybody have a good weekend.